Hello everybody, welcome back to another light novel review. Today I am talking about volume number 6 in Aneko Yusagi's light novel series, The Rising of the Shield Hero. Now in our previous volume, Naofumi and his party, they are on the Kalmira Islands, and they are there because there is an event going on that they are able to level up faster by defeating the monsters in that area. Now, after all of the events of the last volume, something becomes very clear to Naofumi and to the Queen of Melromark, which is the other three heroes, they're really lacking. Like, they're weak as hell. So, our man Naofumi and the Queen, they decide, you know what? We need to get back to basics. We need to get these guys trained so that they are able to withstand the coming waves, because if things keep going as they are, they're all gonna die. So, this novel, this volume, it's filler. I really like this series, and if you've watched my other, volumes 1 to 5 reviews on this series in general, I really enjoy this series. This one I actually found a little slower to get into. The first 30 pages or so are Naofumi basically reiterating everything that's happened in the past 5 volumes, and that happens a lot throughout the book. It's almost like you could have just jumped right into this one and not even read the previous 5 books, because he pretty much summarizes everything that's been going on. I obviously don't recommend that because, they're pretty good books and I would read them, but in any case, there is a lot of rehashing in this volume. You know what this volume reminds me of? If you watch anime, do you know, back when they used to do a full, say, 24 episodes, they'd get to around, episode 12 or 13, and it would be the rerun episode, the recap episode, and they would intersperse, a little bit of new footage, so you kind of felt like you had to watch the episode, but you found yourself kind of fast-forwarding through a lot of it, because you were, seen it, heard it, been there, done that. That's what this one kind of felt like. Now, when you get sort of a little bit further into the book, there is, of course, some new stuff. There's not much as recap. It's not quite as bad as a recap episode in an anime, but that's kind of what it feels like. And there's enough in here that I can sort of say, okay, it's setting up some new stuff. We meet some new characters. Team Naofumi is becoming a little bit more of an actual team, which is cool in a sense that Naofumi really, for the first, really up till this volume, it's really just been him and his 2 companions. His 2 companions who pretty much have no choice but be his companions. And for most of that time, they have been on the run as fugitives and trying to hide their identities. Now, all of a sudden, Naofumi is starting to take on this new role. And he has this newfound, respect from the Queen and from other knights and everybody else, because they're starting to realize that while the other heroes, no one even really knows what they've been up to, but, Naofumi is the one who seems to be standing tall against all of these threats. And he's finally starting to get some of that recognition. And so in this one, Naofumi as a character, he starts changing from the angry loner who has these 2 people with him that he has to have with him because, Raftelia and Philo. But in this one, he starts becoming more of an actual leader. In this one, it's like the loner starts realizing that he actually could use more people, and we start seeing a little bit more of this team expanding, and we have additional people come in that have different strengths and who add sort of different dimensions to this trio, which have been pretty much the only ones that we've spent most of our time with in the previous books. So I liked that aspect. I liked that we fleshed things out a little bit. I like that Naofumi is transitioning from one character into sort of more of an actual hero and leader, and it's organic. It's not like it's being rushed. I mean, it's sort of gradual. There's still that hanging on of the anger and the bitterness and the bit of mistrust, but at the same time, he's slowly starting to move forward and to go into other places as a character, which I'm glad to see. I mean, you can't be the bitter loner who's always sort of on the wrong side of the law, even though he's the only real good guy. That would get tiresome after a while. Of course, we have a lot of pontificating about what the waves are and maybe why the waves are happening the way they are, and there's little more tidbits sort of dropped along the way to make you question exactly what's going on with these waves. And then we find out sort of, I guess this is my other complaint about this particular volume, is that, like, out of the blue, somebody remembers, oh yeah, there's like these 7-star heroes that have apparently already been fighting the waves, but like in other countries and stuff, because, you know, other countries, because we couldn't have them hanging around, because then Nofumi would have been running from like 10 dudes, and that would have been too much, and no, but like really, it's like somebody all of a sudden just realized, oh yeah, we never told you about these 7 other guys with like superpowered weapons that are running around, and like really the only thing that totally sets you guys apart is that you were summoned from another world, and these guys could be just like advanced adventurers. And oh yeah, you know, because your weapons are like archetypal type weapons, and most of their weapons are kind of like spins on the kind of stuff that you guys use. So you're like the top tier, but you know, like just beneath you, there's these guys. Like nobody thought to mention this up until now. It just seems to come out of left field, and I kind of get. Well, I mean, I can't tell you why I think that idea has been introduced, because it would be a big spoiler for this volume and like near the end of this volume. So I don't really want to tell you why, but it seems like the author kind of knows where they want to take things, but kind of realized that there was going to be a problem. And so they've kind of forced these 7-star heroes into the plot to correct that problem, to account for that problem. And I know I'm talking in circles and you're like, what you're saying hardly even makes sense right now. And again, it's because I'm trying to dance around a really big spoiler. But yeah, so, you know, I guess that's what I guess in the more broad sense, what I'm saying is that there's a couple instances in this volume where all of a sudden it's like, oh, info dump, and why was it that if we knew about this a long time ago, nobody said anything? Oh yeah, because what's coming up would make no sense unless we do this right now. And it just feels like it's kind of forced in, and it's not really natural, and it's unfortunate because I've felt like this series has had a fairly natural progression up until this point. But then to all of a sudden like shoehorn in this new thing and just be kind of like, oh, oops, we forgot to tell you because, you know, we were too busy just worrying about you guys. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And so this volume left me a little bit frustrated. It left me, on the one hand, there's a couple of things I'm like, oh, I like the fact that they brought back that, like, you know, character that we saw a glimpse of, and I was like, I like that old lady, and now she's back. I like that. I like this new character that they've kind of brought in, who's this knight. And even the other character that Naofumi picks up from somebody else's party, I'll let you figure that one out. Even she has a role to play, I think, coming in the following volumes. So I was like, okay, I like these additions to Team Naofumi, and I like sort of how Naofumi's transitioning from loner to leader to actual hero. I kind of like that. And the little bit of nuggets about, oh, well, this thing and this mystery, yeah, those are cool. But holy crap, why is there so much recapping of what we already know? And holy crap, why are we suddenly learning about these things that really we should have been told about a long time ago. It's a mixed bag, and it, like I said, it feels a bit like filler, and it feels kind of like that book that you put in the middle of everything because you're like, I want to go to point B now, but I gotta have something like an A.5 to get from A to B. I can't just jump from A to B. I gotta get something else in there to make that transition work and kind of shove it in there. So again, it doesn't transition, I think, as smoothly. It's still, I mean, if you've loved this series up to this point, I mean, you have to read it. There's, like I said, there is definitely things that happen in this volume that you have to know about, because like I just don't see how going forward the things introduced in this, even just the new characters that are joining Naofumi, I mean, they're all going to play a part, so you kind of have to see what's their background, who are they, and all this kind of stuff. That is important. So you have to read this if you want to keep going in the series, but I don't think it is quite as strong as the other volumes that we have had so far. So I'm a little disappointed, but I am hopeful, because of where this ended off, I'm hopeful that Volume 7 could be really cool, and Volume 7 comes out in April, so really soon. So hopefully I'll know sooner than later whether the series is going to sort of regain that bit of strength. I know at least one or two of you have told me that you're familiar with the series as it goes on, and that this arc is kind of a mixed bag for a number of fans. Like, I don't think I'm really in the arc proper yet to be able to make that judgment call. I just know that this volume definitely not as strong as the first ones. So those are my thoughts on volume number 6 of The Rising of the Shield Hero. My next video is going to be on volume number 3 of ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of other books that I could be reading. J-Novel Club is releasing, I think, tomorrow. I'm recording this on the 22nd. They're releasing tomorrow Lost in Another World with my smartphone, which, just based on the title, I kind of thought I would not bother to read it, but it's apparently really popular enough, even popular enough that it's getting an anime they just announced this week, so I'm really curious to read that, but because of how ReZero Volume 2 ended, I have to read this before anything else. So even the volumes that I've already got sitting on the shelf for a couple weeks that I haven't read, and, you know, In Another World with my smartphone, even as curious as I am to check that out, they're all going to wait. Next one is ReZero Volume number 3. So join me in that video. If you're brand new here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can catch all of my future light novel reviews, including ReZero and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you like what I do here, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, because that is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for joining me in this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Till then, bye-bye for now.